Yo, what's up everybody, it's Victon here with another build guide update. This one we're going to go over the Stone Golem League Start version. Now, the reason we're doing an update here, like I said in the original one, I usually don't like doing updates, especially this soon after releasing a guide. There's a lot of changes with the Masteries for this league, and I've been just chatting with a whole bunch of different people, trying to improve the build as much as possible all the way up until League Start. Now, what I actually did with this build specifically, I actually built this one from the ground up. So I put in as minimal gear as possible. This is literally the cheapest version of this build you could ever play. And I did that in order to give you guys, and we'll go over all of the items here, and I'll go over the changes to the tree as well. And I did that to give you guys a very good idea of what it would look like for the cheapest version of this build that you can play, what damage you're going to get out of it, what defenses you're going to get out of it. And I changed the tree a little bit in order to get more damage. We actually got almost, what, 1 million more damage out of some of the changes that I made, so pretty crazy. And I changed the defenses up as well. A couple reasons that I had to do the update video, not only just from chatting with people and trying to figure this out, just to improve the build in general, right? But they actually changed the tree as well, I think, not last night, but the night before, and they updated some of the damage nodes for the minions, and that kind of changed my opinion on some of the pathing and stuff. And what I actually also did for you guys is I was much more detailed because I made this build from absolute scratch in POB. I was able to be much more detailed on the leveling up process, and I think we have a super solid leveling up guide here for you guys, like from the 7 points, right? And then it shows you where to get this, and it tells you exactly what offense that you want, or what mastery you want to get. And I did that all the way up until, what are we at, level 93. So I think it's going to be a really solid kind of update for this guide. So I wanted to get it to you guys because the league starts tomorrow, and I think this version is very similar to the one that I already released with the other guide. So if you follow that one, you would honestly be just fine. But if you follow this one, the updated POB will be in, of course, this video, but it's also going to be in the last video, and it's going to be on my spreadsheet. Just wanted to mention that as well. Okay, cool. So all that, let's get that out of the way. Let's go ahead and talk about the changes that I made for this build and the reasons that I made some of the changes that I did. So first and foremost, let's see here. The changes on the tree really were not too crazy. I changed some of the masteries, and the reason I did this mainly was because I was much more detailed with the actual leveling paths. So I'm telling you exactly which masteries to get and in what order as well. I think that's really important, especially for a league start scenario, right? Let's see if I actually changed. So we did pick this node up, 10% increased maximum life with reduced life recovery rate. That reduced life recovery rate barely affects us at all, guys. We still have almost 600 life regen per second. So that 10% life is really, really solid. So a pretty solid pickup there. We have the 50 life, which is really crazy, especially early on. That's why we get that really early on. The vitality 100% increased mana reservation efficiency is also very strong because we are running vitality. Down here, we do have regenerate 2% of life per second while moving. Very solid if you're just mapping, and not so much if you're obviously, doing blight farming. But if you're mapping, which we're going to, of course, be doing, 2% life regen per second is very strong. This was one of the bigger ones that I actually changed. So initially, I thought that determination was 35%. But it's not. I don't know. I feel like I heard them say that. I could have sworn I heard them say that. But apparently it's 50. And they released the gems last night, the level 20 versions of all the gems. They released that last night. And determination is indeed a 50% cost. So I had to change the build up slightly in order to account for that. Now, what we're going to be doing in order to actually run that aura, and we'll go over here and when we talk about the skills, but I changed the skills up a little bit as well to get that extra bit of damage. But we did have to change our auras up just a little bit, and you have to get this determination 25% reduce or increase mana reservation efficiency if you want to run. Where is it? Where are you? Flesh and Stone. Yeah, so we have Flesh and Stone. That is a new to this build. So in the last guide, I did not have Flesh and Stone. We are going to have Flesh and Stone now. We actually need to change that. It's not level 20. So they did change Flesh and Stone this league. It's not 16% increased physical damage anymore. I think it maxes out at 11. So what we're going to do to semi kind of emulate that is we're going to put it down to 1, and it's 13%, so it's pretty close. It's 2% more higher damage than it should be, so that brings us to 5.3 million DPS, which is still, of course, very strong. But yeah, so if you did not have that determination reduced effect, you wouldn't be able to run a couple different things. You wouldn't be able to run determination, basically. So once you get that node, you can then run determination. Just know that in the tree. And I can't remember exactly when we get it. Maybe at around that point right there. Yeah, I bet we get it around 85 points or so. So that's what, level 70 something. So once you get around there, you can start using determination. Just make sure you're leveling it up in like your offhand or something like that. So very good, but determination is still absolutely crazy strong. We have 85% physical damage reduction in this build, and that's only with 10,000 armor. So that was another big thing that I changed. I think in the last one we had around like 60% physical damage reduction, and now we're up to 85% physical damage reduction, and that's without clicking a Rumis like a granite flask. If you do that, you're capped at 90% physical damage reduction. So really, really strong there. Okay, cool. So going back to the tree, I think that's probably all the changes. Just, I'm not going to go over every specific like offense mastery and all that stuff. Just know that I made it to where if you're following this guide, it's going to be very efficient for you to level up, and everything is kind of perfect exactly how you want it. So let's go over to the skills. So this is the Stone Golem. Just so you guys know, I am coming out with a Carrion Golem version of this build here later today. So if you're interested in that, click on that as well. Anyways, so let's go over the changes. We had to do an Enlighten. So interesting here. So when you see Enlighten, don't be scared. You can actually do an Enlighten level 2 and be just fine, right? So that's not going to be too expensive. You're going to have a little bit less mana, only 50 mana, but you're actually rarely going to be casting stuff with this build anyway. All you're really going to be casting is Arcanist Brand, and that's, you know, barely any mana, 18 mana. So it's really not that big of a deal. So we're going to be casting that occasionally, I guess, what, Flame Dash, right? So we really don't need too much mana with this build because we have Stone Golems, and those are just persistent, right? So Stone Golems are running around chilling. You don't actually have to summon them or anything, so we really don't need too much mana. So that is why, though, we do need it, because in order to do all of these, so basically, like I said, the 50% instead of 35 for where is it, for determination, that's why we are having to run that Enlighten at least level 2. Obviously, the more you can get, like level 3, level 4, you're just gonna have more mana, right? But just don't be scared if you see the Enlighten. It's only level 2. That's really not gonna be that expensive. So yeah, so let's see what all ores we are running now. So we are running Determination, we're running Flesh and Stone with Maim. That is a lot of damage right there. Let's turn that off. It goes, yeah, so look at that, 4.2 million. It gives us a whole million DPS. So that's where we got most of our extra damage compared to my first guide that I released, what, 2 days ago. And we just had to do a couple of different tricky things in order to be able to fit that into the build. But definitely worth it, guys. Absolutely worth it. It gives us a whole million extra DPS. Super, super solid. And then we did change this slightly. We're going Flesh Offering, Desecrate, Arcanist Brand. And then you can, I would probably say, have Assassin's Mark unlinked, right? So you have a 3 link and then you have a 1 link. We're really only using Assassin's Mark on maybe like a yellow monster or a boss. Other than that, you don't need it at all. Your Stone Golems are just going to destroy all normal packs anyway, and then pop that on like tougher bosses, right? I think that probably covers all of the changes. We can talk about, for the tree and the skills, that is. Let's talk about the items here. This is basically going to be the same stuff as the last guide. I just went and was more meticulous about having it be like I said in the beginning, as poop gear as possible, right? So this is as base level gear as you can get, and that's the damage that you're going to get with his base level gear. There's nothing fancy about any of these items, and the strategy that I went with when I kind of made these was basically on all of your gear here, you want 1 elemental resistance and then 1 chaos resistance. And if you're able to have a suffix open, you craft an elemental resistance and chaos resistance. If you're able to do that on pretty much all of your items, you're going to cap out your resistance and you're going to cap out your chaos resistance very easily. So that's kind of my strategy, and I think if you guys use that, it's probably pretty good. And then on your ring, one of your unset rings, try and get dexterity on there as well. Maybe do like a, right here, you know, 1 elemental resistance, some life, and dexterity. And on all these, I actually had a pretty low life rolls as well. 65 I did on pretty much everything, and then 75. So these are tier 2 rolls of life, and we're at 4,400 HP at level 93. That's really not too bad. Not too bad at all. So you'll be able to get probably closer to 5,000 life with proper gear pretty easily. Then we have the Darkness and Throne. We have some pretty cheap jewels here. Don't worry about getting life on these guys. It's probably better to get damage. So get that, increased damage if you used a minion skill recently, and then even a tier 1 roll of minions deal additional physical damage is pretty solid. And then what we did for our Anima Stone, we have one set of the Anima Stone. So we have a Harmony, a Might, and an Eminence. And then we have the Anima Stone. So I took out the rest of the Harmonies. Harmonies are very good for Stone Golems. I know there's a lot of talk about Stone Golems or Carrion Golems right now, and I'll talk about that specifically, my thoughts, when I do my Carrion Golem video, so listen to that if you are interested. But for Stone Golems specifically, obviously the more Harmonies you get, the better. So actually this should be a Harmony, sorry about that. So the more Harmonies you get, the better. Actually, you know what? Let's check. Yeah, no, that's interesting. It's better to get, so when you stack Harmonies, it's much better for Stone Golems because they're able to slam more, and their slam is what's doing most of their damage. But I would use this setup as your starter setup, right? You buy a Might first, and then you buy another Might, and then you buy an Eminence and Harmony, and then you sell the Might, Eminence, and Harmony, and you get your Anima Stone, and then you buy another Harmony, and you buy an Eminence, and that's your first set. That's really where your most of your initial currency is going to go to, is this right here. It's going to be somewhere between probably 1 to 2x to get all of your primordial jewels, depending on how popular golems are this league. The clay shapers are mega cheap, Darkness and Throne mega cheap, everything else in the build is super cheap. It's really just the primordial jewels, and they shouldn't be too expensive. Yeah, you guys can check out the gear specifically. I would try and follow these as close as possible, because the way that I did it is going to get you your capped resistance is really easy, because all of this gear is really not that good of gear. You'll notice on here that I have that 2050 armor. That is for Determination, because Determination is not updated on POB yet. Just note that. I'm not doing anything crazy there. What was the other thing? So your amulets and rings, you definitely want to get +1 a minimum endurance charge on there. That's 12% physical damage reduction flat. Very good if you're able to get all of that. One thing that you can do later on is to consider, it's going to be in our in-game version, if you're able to get the craft shock nearby enemies for 2, 3, 4 seconds on focus. That's a very good damage in craft instead of the minimum endurance charge. That's going to give you an extra 15% more damage. So that's something to consider for like an in-game item. And then there was one other thing that I was going to chat about. Where did it go? That might have been it, actually. Yeah, so I think that was it. So I do want to also show you the configuration here to show you guys that there's no shenanigans going on. There's also been chat about shenanigans in POBs. I never do shenanigans in my POBs, so I just wanted to show you guys. Are your minions always on full life? They should always be on full life, especially since we're going with Grave Intentions. So they're going to have an ES buffer before they start taking damage from their life. So they should always be on full life. So that's configuration. So that's why that's on there, and it's only giving us a 5% more damage multiplier anyway. It's nothing too crazy. Minions have power and frenzy charges. They should always have maximum charges because of our specters. So that's from me playing the build so much over the last 5 leagues. They're always at maximum charges, even on bosses. Number of summoned minions is the 10 there, and that is because we have. Let's go to our skills. We have zombies first off, right? And you can do this, you can do either or, right? So you're gonna have 3 specters, and you're gonna either have an animate guardian if you want, or you're gonna have your zombies. I would do zombies first, and then I would do animate guardian maybe once you get into like high red tier maps or something like that. And that's definitely gonna get you your 10 summoned minions. And the reason that I have that in there is because of the bone barrier. So we're getting 1% increased physical damage reduction per minion up to 10%. So that's giving us an extra 10% physical damage reduction, which is really solid. That's why we're able to get such high physical damage reduction with only 10,000 armor. Going back to our configure here, of course, we're gonna have Feeding Frenzy active at all time. That's pretty common for every single minion build out there. Pride or a maximum effect. So in order for it to get to maximum effect, all you have to do is be near the monster for 4 seconds. And that's probably going to be it. So it really only matters for like bosses, right? If it's a regular monster, they're going to instantly die anyway, right? So it's only for bosses. So that's why that's there. Blood stances, of course, for our flesh and stone. And that's all I have. I don't have anything else checked. Of course we're gonna make it go off of a Cyrus. Yeah, very, very basic. I don't have any shenanigans. Don't have Vol Haste. Don't have anything like that. And 5.3 million DPS. So pretty solid. I'm pretty happy with this build. I guess I could say one tip real quick right here is one of your first bigger purchases could be a Cold Iron Point. And it ups your damage quite a bit. I think it ups it like 1 million or something. Let's go check that out, because you would lose one golem, right? So yeah, so you get another 1 million DPS. So now you're at 6.2. So pretty good. There's, you know, pretty good damage with this build. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's go back to our items, and let's click the Clay Shaper back here for you guys. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this build. I think 5.3 million DPS for very reasonable gear. Very good defenses. We're capped on all of our resistance, 85% physical damage resistance, and then also almost 600 life regen. I think we're doing pretty good, guys. I think we're doing pretty good. The other thing I wanted to mention, there's been some questions about the Better Trading app extension. Some of you guys have been having trouble importing that to your own website here. I'm going to show you guys how to do that. It's not the text bin link, right? So if you guys want to import, you would normally go down here and you click import, right? It's not this text bin link. It's the actual code down here. So you click copy, or you can just kind of like do that and then click copy, right? And then you would go over here and you paste it. There you go. It's the whole code. And then it says Stone Golems budget version, and then you would save it, and then there you go. Pops up over there. Easy peasy. The last thing I want to mention is I'm going to have the updated POB in, of course, this video. I'm going to put the updated POB in my original guide. I'm going to put the updated POB in my spreadsheet. And if you guys ever are curious if there's ever changes to the BOB, I'm always going to have that spreadsheet as the most up-to-date version of my POBs. So you'll always be able to find the most accurate POB for any of my builds in the spreadsheet. So check that out. And if you guys are curious about the Carrion Golems, my thoughts on Carrion Golems versus Stone Golems, I'm going to do a full build guide, League Starter for Carrion Golems. That should release in the next few hours, so check that out if you're interested. And that's all I got for you guys on this one. I hope this wasn't too long of a video. I know it was a little bit longer than my Skelly Mage update. I apologize for that. But we got so much more damage. We got another 1 million damage, and we got more defenses. I really thought it was important to give you guys this update, and I hope it does help. And you guys have a fantastic league start. Thanks, everybody, and I will catch you all in the next one.